Hello learners, you are welcome to LAUTECH Open and Distance Learning Center. This course is GST 107, Introduction to E-Learning, and I will be taking you through this course with some of my colleagues. And this is the first study session that we'll be looking at, which is going to focus at a look at the importance of technology in teaching and learning. And the learning outcome for this discussion today, which is the first study session, is first we have to understand what open and distance learning means. Then we will go ahead to identify the various stages of distance education, how it has evolved over the years. And later we will discuss about the history of open and distance learning system, particularly as it relates to Nigeria. Then we are going to identify or discuss various characteristics of open and distance learning system. Now, before we go ahead, there is need for us to understand what traditional teaching and learning means and what teaching and learning with technology means. Before now, we are all used to traditional brick and mortar way of learning, which means you go to a classroom, which is restricted by four walls. You have a teacher in front of you that is teaching you. That is what traditional teaching and learning method means. If you look at the screen, you will see some of the characteristics of traditional teaching and learning method. He said it has physical learning materials, and you make use of pen, paper, chalkboard or blackboard as the case may be. It has limited access to educational material and information. Limited access in the sense that it has limited number of students that such institution can cater for at a particular point in time. So that is the limited access that is being explained there. Then the teaching and learning typically occur in an in-person classroom setting, which means you have to be physically present. That is some of the characteristics of a traditional teaching and learning method, which we are all used to. And the other one is with the aid of technology, like the one we are doing now. The one with the aid of technology has a wider access to educational materials and information. Once I upload your lecture material for you on the learning management system, the number of people that can have access to it are unlimited. If you are going to have a virtual lab experiment, the number of people that can perform experiment on that virtual lab per time are unlimited, unlike traditional face-to-face where you have restricted number of people that can have access to the laboratory. So there is more available channels and tools for communication as well as collaboration, and you would have discovered these from your experience since you have been enrolled into LAUTECH Open and Distance Learning Center. There is WhatsApp group for your communication, there is email for communication, and so on and so forth. And it enables a more personalized kind of learning for students. Personalized in the sense that you can move at your own pace. You can do it as it is convenient for you, not as others are doing it, but as you find it so easy to do. So that is what teaching and learning with technology, that is some of the characteristics of teaching and learning with technology. And you will also know that the technology here is emphasized because that is the medium of communication. Your laptop and all that is the medium of communication. Now let's go to the definition of open and distance learning. It is very important for us to understand what this open and distance learning means. And here, I will take it one after the other, which means I'll first discuss what distance education means, and from there we'll talk about open education. then we bring it together so that we can make sense from the two words. Distance education is defined as an educational field focusing on teaching methods and technology to deliver instruction to students that are not physically present in the traditional classroom settings. So if there are situations where both the teachers and the students or learners are not physically present and there is need to deliver a lecture to them, that is what distance education means, which means you may not be available in LAUTECH open and distance learning, yet you are progressing in your education wherever you are. That is distance education. Now the next definition we are looking at there is open education. What is open education? Open education is a philosophic construct that advocates the removal of constraint and barrier to learning. Open education refers to policies and practices that allow entry to learning with no or minimum barrier with respect to age, gender, time constraints, and so on and so forth, thereby meeting the diverse needs of learners today. Now, from this definition, the key point to open education is removal of barrier and constraint. You know, we've talked about limited access to resources when we are talking about traditional classroom setting. Open education is removing that barrier. Let me give you an example. If you want to enter into LAUTECH on a normal day, you will have a cutoff for JAMB before you can enter. Even there is possibility that when you meet those cutoff, you are unable to gain that admission. But concerning openness in education, we have removed the barrier of JAMB. So we only limit it to once you have the necessary qualification from your secondary education, which is 5 O-level credits, you can apply to a university and study. Can you see how open that is? In addition, the restriction to number of people that can be admitted has been removed. What do I mean? LAUTECH Open and Distance Learning Center can admit as many students as possible because the restriction concerning the number has been removed because these educational resources is being delivered via technology. Now, if you now match these two important words together, open and distance education, you merge it together, they form open and distance learning. Now, according to Commonwealth of Learning in 2015, they defined open and distance learning as an instructional system that is characterized by the temporal or spatial separation of teacher and learner, employing multiple media for instructional design. Can you see that? Temporal or spatial separation. Temporal means for a time being you are not available. That is why you have 2 weeks to come for face-to-face facilitation and examination. Can you see that you not being available in the on campus is just for a temporary time. You will come for face-to-face facilitation and your exam. Then spatial separation, it means space. Do you understand? Space. So that is what that is talking about. Now, on that, we go to the next discussion, stages of distance learning. If you recall, when I was talking about distance learning the other time, I said the learner and the teacher, they are not in the same place, yet they have to communicate. How has it been done before now? All right. The first one there, that's the first stage, is the correspondence stage. What do we mean by correspondence stage? Schultz et al. In 2008, they describe the correspondence phase as the early courses that is being facilitated by interaction through distribution of printed materials via mail. What that means is that the way newspaper are being sent, that is the way they were learning in those days, which means the teacher will have the note ready, maybe via photocopy or printing. The note will be available. Then they will send it to that student wherever it is. Let's say as I am in LAUTECH now and you are in Ibadan or Oyo, I will now take your lecture note, send it through post office or DHL to you. Then you will read it, you will study it, then you will come and write your exam. That is what correspondence stage means. Then later, after World War One, the second stage of distance education commenced, and this second stage means introduction of radio system, television system, where the students will be given a particular point in time when they will on their radio or TV to a particular station where the lecture will be delivered. And as you would have guessed that such kind of delivery is just a one-way method, which means they cannot ask questions. They can only watch and they learn. The third phase is the computer technology stage, which is the stage where we are. Computer and space satellites enabled university to offer program to students that are far away from campus. And as technology continue to evolve, it increasingly shapes educational delivery. That is where we are today as you all are participating in this learning process. Now let us look at history of open and distance learning and how it relates to Nigeria. Now the first open university was established in the UK in the year 1969, and this is a pioneer public distance learning and research institution. You see, when you are talking about institution, an institution must be able to conduct research alongside teaching responsibility. So the first university that is able to perform teaching responsibility and conduct research was Open University in the UK, and it was established in 1969. Because of the success of this university, then there is emergence of open learning which became adopted. That is, open learning emerges as an educational philosophy. It became an acceptable way of learning. Then in 1977, coming to Nigeria now, there is this national policy on education in Nigeria. And this policy highlight the need to expand access to higher education through open and distance learning. Now in 1983, establishment of Nigeria Open University was done. So this Open University marked the entry into open and distance learning for Nigeria as a nation. But the unfortunate thing was that within 1 year, this institution collapsed, which is 1984, and then the activity of the institution was later suspended. Thereafter, in 2002, under President Olusegun Obasanjo, National Open University was then established, and as you and I know, they are still functioning till today. And it is under this policy that LAUTECH open and distance learning also began open and distance learning education, which you are a beneficiary today. Now, what happened here was that the things that make distance learning a viable way of learning. The first is capacity constraint of traditional university. Like I've told you before, because the resources are limited, there is a limited number of students that can be admitted into uh, higher educational institution, and there are so many students that are qualified. But in order not to deny them their right to education, because they are qualified, they have everything that is needed even to proceed to higher education. So open and distance learning became established. Also, there is a persistent demand for higher education. Everybody wants to go to school, so there is that need. also the need for lifelong learning. There are some people that are working already and they also want to continue to develop themselves. So there is also this also help uh, establishment of distance learning. Now let's consider the characteristics of open and distance learning. The first one there is openness. There is no restriction, there is no barrier, or the barrier has been lowered as much as possible. In our case, you have 5 O-level credits. You can read, you can write, you can operate technology. You are qualified to come to LAUTECH Open and Distance Learning Center. Flexibility. What this flexibility means is that you dictate where you want to be learning, when you want to learn, how you want to learn. It is flexible. Even you dictate when you want to graduate. Yes, it is so flexible. If you travel out of Nigeria today, you can still continue learning, which is not possible in the face-to-face mode of education. Also, it is technologically driven. Without technology, open and distance learning is not possible. And use of mixed media courseware. Like now you have your lecture note which has been uploaded for you on the learning management system, which you can download, you can print, you can read it. This is also a video that you can watch in order to understand what is being written in that lecture note better. Interactivity. This interactivity is talking more about feedback. Interactivity, you can post questions on the learning management system and you'll be responded to. You can do your quiz, you will see your score and you will know how well you are faring, and so on and so forth. So it is on this note that we have come to the end of study session 1, and I want to end with this quote. Technology is an effective tool that can make education more meaningful and engaging for teachers and students alike. So I want to implore you to prepare yourself very well, develop yourself in technology wise, and make sure that you are prepared even to excel in this study. On this note, we have come to the end of the first study session. You can look through your study material in order to understand all these things that I've explained to you even the more. See you in the next class. Thank you.